Welcome to the GameChangers podcast. We sit down with powerful industry leaders and uncover the secrets to success in solving real-world problems. I'm your host, Kenny Au. Hey guys, I'm very happy to have the Clover Finance team here today. So we have Barak, Vivian, as well as Noel from the Clover Finance team. Good to have you guys here today. So I would like to ask each of you your background in the industry. Okay, and what you guys do at Clover Finance. First of all, I would like one person to tell us what Clover Finance is, in just very briefly.
Okay, so hi guys, this is Vipin. So I'm one of the project leads for Clover. So just to give a brief intro, so Clover is, as you can see on the screen, it's a foundational layer for cross-chain compatibility. So we're actually a substrate-based parachain on Polkadot. And we're also going to be EVM compatible as well as Polkadot compatible. So we're going to be one of the first chains to be working on both the Ethereum and the Polkadot network at the same time. So that's kind of like our differentiator, and that's like a quick intro of what we have so far. And we'll get into the more in depth later on as we go on.
Okay. Well, let's use this opportunity to learn about you and your background. Vivian.
Sure. So my background is from Toronto originally. Still here right now. I studied computer science, and I got immediately into the enterprise software space. So I was working as a Microsoft Dynamics architect. So we're working with Microsoft ERP software. And while I was working there, I had a lot of colleagues and friends that were still in school interested in the blockchain space. And I noticed that we started talking about blockchain at work more and more, especially with Microsoft starting to get into or investing into the Ethereum space and the enterprise space. And that's when I came across of it, and I got super into it. I started, joining all the online forums, all the Slacks at the time. Now it's all shifted over to Discord, getting involved in developer communities, and also went on to found a consulting company in the blockchain space. So that's what I've been doing before I got into Clover.
Thank you. Vivian, now you just finished. Barak?
Guys, my name is Barak. I'm the technical lead at Clover, and at the moment, responsible for building the two-way bridge we are building at Clover. I met Bitcoin around 2016 summer when I saw a video about Bitcoin mining. It hooked me up. So, I was so fascinated with it, and hooked me in. And then I originally come from mobile development background. I previously funded failed mobile gaming companies, and I have electronics background. And I started, building on Bitcoin in general, Bitcoin programming, building on Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash since then. Although now I'm more, interested in building and, engaged in building Polkadot and Ethereum ecosystems.
Okay. And Noel?
I graduated from University of Toronto after studying computer science and computational cognition, and I guess my first job started at a listed company in Hong Kong where I was helping to put together decks for them, and later on worked as head of client relations at a market maker fund named Amber, and also had a chance to cross paths with them holdings, which I was helping them spending some of the time on advisory work and also partnering to help with expanding their international arm. So I came into touch with Bitcoin very early in my university years, where one of my university professor just randomly brought up the idea of Bitcoin and thought it was very interesting. And I bought my first Bitcoin at around $600. And I guess with all this blooming noise going around, I just decided to jump into the space and kind of started there. Yeah.
So what's the vision behind Clover Finance?
So I would say the vision includes a few main pillars. A few of the main pillars that we have is interoperability and cross-chain integration. And then also, to add on to that with our set of products would be user experience in the DeFi ecosystem. And I think that kind of ties into the interoperability and cross-chain capabilities, because right now with the user experience, we're noticing that more and more users are starting to experience with like dApps outside of just Ethereum. And a part of that is because of the network fees in Ethereum. So But right now, there's no like very good UX way to get onto, like say Binance Smart Chain or other chains like Avalanche. So, we're trying to tie that all together. And, if you want, I can get into, how we do that with our products as well. But does that kind of explain, kind of our differentiator?
Well, right now the gas fees are very expensive on Ethereum, right? And as I read through your materials, I noticed that there's a few major problems that you guys are trying to solve.
Yeah, so the gas fees, are tied right into the way that Ethereum set up. It's because the gas fees are based on like an auction-like system, where if you choose to pay more for a certain transaction, then your transaction will go through. And the limitation that we have right now is because of the block size or the gas limit in terms of Ethereum, and also the congestion of users, as you said. But for us, we're not trying to solve like we're not trying to make an L2 solution that would solve gas fees, but also sacrifice security and decentralization. What we want to do is kind of be the bridge for all other, like all pretty much like all chains to tie them together, if that makes sense. So that's how our set of products is getting out there. So users will be able to do cross swaps on, let's say, from Binance over to Ethereum, or from Polkadot or a Polkadot parachain over to Ethereum as well. So that would solve the gas feed issue.
I want to hear from you. Why is the industry so reliant on Ethereum currently?
I think that we all can understand that it's to do with the network effect. Ethereum was obviously first, and they're also the most decentralized. If you want to compare all other platforms, and secondly, because of developer community, I think wherever the developer community goes is going to stay strong for the most part. But now we're seeing, or at least from my point of view, is that Polkadot is one of the first kind of challengers. So I don't really see it as a challenger. I see them as coexisting in the future. I see Ethereum and Polkadot coexisting together. They're for different reasons. But to your point, Polkadot is the first one I've seen with a strong developer community forming. The other ones have kind of been like very like similar to Ethereum, trying to be like Ethereum. But I think now what we're seeing mostly the Polkadot space as well as the Binance Smart Chain space really take on, and that's why we think that like a multi-chain, like cross-chain future is kind of inevitable.
I want to hear from you guys. How do you see Polkadot and Ethereum, coexisting together? Because in industries in nature is just so competitive, right? I would like, you guys to address, let's just say, 3 key points of how do you see that they can coexist?
So I guess we totally believe that future liquidity shouldn't be limited to only one single public chain. So especially if Ethereum's currently low throughput and speed, and also high cost. And I guess that's one of the one reason we think that the current fund on Ethereum DeFi will likely going to outflow to Polkadot DeFi. And of course, I think liquidity can go both ways as the development of Ethereum 2.0 can come alive. But I think it's still going to be quite a long way in order for Ethereum 2.0 to take off. That's why we certainly think that coexistence was going to be one of the biggest possibility. And the second one is that with Polkadot's current market cap, we think it's only a fraction of what Ethereum's current market cap is. That's why we want to kind of harness the power of it, thinking that there's still a huge kind of gap between them. So we think that's one of the additional point why we want to go into Polkadot. And Barak, do you have any other thoughts from your end?
I think, market never stops deciding, and I think they can coexist as well. Like obviously Ethereum has its own thing, Polkadot has its own thing. They have their own markets, they have their own communities. I think as long as people keep, giving value each respective chains, I think they will coexist. I think simple as that.
Okay, that's great to hear. So the industry's lifting each other up.
I just want to add on to that as well as I want to say that I think there's not going to be one set blockchain. I think and Polkadot showed that the way that Polkadot's infrastructure works is that like there's going to be different parachains, and what that means is it's kind of like their own single blockchain set for a specific purpose. Ethereum has like Ethereum works for certain purposes as well. For example, the network effect and decentralization is very important. So for instance, if you want to have an NFT, let's say like a Pokemon trading game, where it's very important for that card to be actually rare and protected, then you may want it to be on Ethereum. But let's say you want to have like a fast gaming platform, then you may want to develop on like a Polkadot parachain that's made specifically for that purpose. So like a parachain is, you can think of it as like an audio equalizer, and it's kind of like made to serve a specific purpose. So that's why I think that you're going to have different types of chains made for different purposes in the future, and that's why they'll obviously coexist.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys plan on doing anything with NFT now? The question about what are your solutions to solve the problems, the existing problems. Are you guys doing anything with NFT currently?
So we're more like an infrastructure layer, and we're going to allow for people to obviously use cross-chain bridges, cross-chain integration. We're not specifically building an NFT project, but projects are welcome to reach out to us to start building NFTs on top of.
Okay. I read through your materials. You guys have EVM compatibility, gas fee redistribution. Can you shed some light on that, on your solutions?
So for those two, sure, yeah. I mean, as we discussed, early on, we think that most of the developer community right now is on Ethereum. So the quickest way to appeal to developers is by building an EVM compatible kind of layer, which Binance Smart Chain has proven. They've kind of like been the leader in an EVM compatible solution that's not Ethereum. And you can see that everyone is kind of flocking over to BSC because of the saving on gas fees. So yeah, I mean, we definitely want to have EVM compatibility for a Polkadot layer. So our Clover chain actually is going to be on EVM as well as Polkadot. So the way our technology works is you'll have two different addresses, like a Polkadot one and an EVM based one, and both of those will kind of tie together. And then to expand on the gas fee redistribution, we think that's also very important part of our solution. You can see both like a lot of the gas fees that get charged on the Ethereum network or most other networks with like node operators or miners, all of the fee goes towards them. So the miners make all the money from the transaction fees, or the node operators and other like POS blockchains. But with us, we're trying to give that to the contract creators. So let's say, like going back to, again, the NFT example, let's say you had a company, you made a contract for NFTs, and people start interacting with that NFT. They start buying it, they start trading it, or however they want to interact with it. The way that gas fee redistribution works is we'd be able to reward the contract creator from the transaction fees. So that gives a lot of benefit to people creating this, and a lot of incentivization for them to build on top of Clover. So if you develop like an NFT contract, you'd be able to get paid every single time there's a transaction. Whereas on Ethereum, you don't really get paid for it. And just to get into the numbers, and don't quote me on this, I don't know for sure, but on Uniswap alone, I think there was about 40,000 Ethereum spent in the last month on transaction fees. So imagine, Uniswap themselves creating that and getting a portion of it. And the way that we are going to the way we're going to determine the amount the contract owner gets is through governance. So Clover token holders will be able to decide what that percentage should be.
Can you tell me how the sending of ERC20 assets and gas fees they're automatically deducted from the ERC20 asset? Can you tell us more about that?
I think Barack would be good to explain how that technology works. So the gas fee distribution is, one of the problems we've identified in this space is, in order to interact with DeFi applications today on Ethereum, you have to own some amount of Ether, right? If you're a new user who have no prior exposure to DeFi, you have to go to an exchange first, sign up and get some Ethers, come back, and then hopefully you can start interacting with it, which I think is a big hurdle in user onboarding and is an awful UX. And here at Clover, we are introducing an additional layer, a relaying layer, where relayers can act on behalf of users. And cover their transaction fee in the native asset, which is CLV, and get a cutoff percentage in exchange for the providing the service.
It looks like the natural progression is, people moving from the devs moving from Ethereum to other chains, which there are more opportunities, and the reduction in gas fees, over time. I think that's very exciting. So how are you building a bridge between Polkadot and Ethereum?
So again, one of the other problems we identified is, today's decentralized financial networks sort of remain isolated each other in silos, and they cannot trustlessly communicate each other and meaningfully exchange value each other, right? And in Clover, we are building a foundational layer that breaks other blockchains, whether that's a Turing-complete blockchain like Ethereum, non-Turing-complete blockchain like Bitcoin, in one unified place. So the way how this works is, we are building, it's a little bit techy, but we are building a protocol where anyone can participate in and notarize sort of the existence of transactions to an isolated blockchain, kind of like an Oracle network, but built in the consensus layer, back into the consensus. So far, we've seen some federated designs like, liquid network, like RenVM, where not anyone is able to participate, right? Their network can have can accommodate a certain amount of participants, right? Not anyone is sort of allowed and welcome to sort of have a voice in the governance and have voice in the how the network operates. And here at Clover, we are building a layer where anyone is able to join up to, in theory, unlimited number of members, as long as they stake some amount of CLV for the security.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right. So what's the team size now at Clover? And how long have you guys been working on this product?
So yeah, as collectively we've been working together for about roughly a year, exactly to be exact, since May last year. And we have an on-site team of around 20 engineers. 4 of them working part-time, 16 of them working full-time across the globe.
And I just want to expand before we move on about the two-way peg that Barak highlighted, because I think it's a very important part of our solution, and also very integral, and it could be really good big for the DeFi space in general. So for example, after the Ethereum and Polkadot bridge, we're working on the Bitcoin and Polkadot one. So it's pretty much bringing Bitcoin over to DeFi. And I think that's one of the biggest missing pieces right now. Obviously, most of the liquidity and market cap is in Bitcoin, but a lot of those users can't use it in DeFi products. There are solutions out there, but they're custodial. So you're kind of putting your Bitcoin in the trust of a third party. And some of them are very trusted, like when there's probably most likely nothing's going to happen to your Bitcoin. But I think most like DeFi users would want to bring their Bitcoin trustlessly over to like a lending product or like a yield farming product, in a trustless way. So that's something that our two-way peg would allow to happen. I think it's worth mentioning.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, I also want to touch on that, because I think also agree in that that we don't want to limit ourselves with just Turing complete blockchains. So we want to take a step further. So just so we can cover the most, I guess, the most interesting one, the interesting bridge, which is the Bitcoin bridge. So while Ethereum and the Polkadot are already being built, worked on, we think supporting Bitcoin is very unique, because at the moment, just like what they mentioned earlier, no one else can do it, or even for the ones that can claim to do it, it's actually federated solution. So with the upcoming upgrades of Bitcoin Core, like the Bitschooner, the Taproot, and also Tapscript, we're hoping to bring the Bitcoin bridge around next year. And also covering some of the key highlight that I think it's a very interesting part and attraction for even for users that are non-crypto native. So we like for the gasless end user experience, where we're reinventing the fee economics to simplify the whole DeFi experience. So I think at the moment a lot of people are kind of being blocked outside of the DeFi world, because one, they don't have any Ethereum, they don't know how to work everything. It's just it's such a big hassle for them. So I think the gasless end user kind of experience will allow them to kind of experience this DeFi in a way, simpler way.
Yeah, so the problem right now, definitely we see that, right? Like like, someone gets, a ERC20 token, and you're gonna need ETH to power it up. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And for those who don't have a particular, I would say, if they don't have Ethereum, that then they got to figure out how to buy Ethereum. But once they get it, they realize that the gas fee is so high. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess one of the very weird reason when I start using DeFi is that for some reason they're all being deployed on web, which is super, I guess, complicated to use. I mean, like, it's just very unuser friendly. That's why we actually spend a lot of time on the interface. I guess it's just a reimagining how you can manage everything, all your DeFi holdings in one simple dashboard that's leaving on your mobile end. So we think that will be a very interesting one, certainly bringing a highlight of the project.
Yeah, it's your point. It's not just sorry, yeah, I was saying to your point, it's not just end users, it's also developers. I imagine new developers coming into the space. When I came into the space and started deploying contracts on Ethereum, it would cost me, like 50 to like $200 or so for contracts, which was still, still kind of pricey, but doable. Now if you want to deploy like a lending contract, especially with like features like upgradability or anything else, it's going to cost you, 10 to 15 grand potentially, depending on the gas price of that day. And it's just not sustainable for new users. For example, like let's say like a simple token contract on Ethereum may cost me, let's say 0.15 Ethereum to deploy. That's why users are moving to Binance Smart Chain, because a developer on BSC is going to cost them about $2 in BNB to just deploy that token contract. So very big difference.
Mm-hmm. So what's the status of your product now?
So we've already built most of our alpha products. So by early next week, our first extension wallet should be on the Chrome store, like the Chrome App Store on Google Chrome. So that is going to highlight some of the things we're talking about. Where users can connect to like Polkadot.js and Web3 apps at the same time. So like you can imagine yourself being connected to Ethereum and Polkadot at the same time without having to switch networks. So I think that's going to be, like a good differentiator. Yeah, so that's coming out next week, and we also have a.
Yeah, is there going to be a wallet? Yeah, will there be like a wallet involved, sort of like a MetaMask?
Yeah, so it's kind of like that, but that's what I'm talking about exactly. It's the extension wallet. It's going to be out. We also have Clover Scan coming out. So yeah, I mean, most of our products are already built. Some of the technologies that Barack highlighted are still in the works. For example, the Bitcoin and Ethereum bridge, that's still in the works. But yeah, apart from that, most of our products are going to start to roll out. And then the mainnet for Polkadot parachain is going to be depending on when Polkadot auctions happen, which is going to be sometime this year. We're all guessing it's going to be sometime around the summer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Sounds like you guys are very, I would say, very bullish on Polkadot, on the Polkadot ecosystem, right? And resources, that they're putting in. So who are your institutional investors, and why did they back you guys?
We closed our seed round around 7 months ago with Parachain Capital, but some global Hypersphere Ventures and also Divergence Venture leading around. So I guess some of the reason why they decided to invest is because of the vision there. I guess reshaping the whole kind of DeFi landscape. And of course, they're also very bullish on Polkadot. So that being said, I think there's a lot of projects out there who are EVM compatible. So I don't think that's actually the core differentiator, even though we are also EVM compatible. But the real, I guess the real power is really the interoperability using the SPV simulation technology, enabling the two-way packs. But I don't want to go too in depth in that because it might get a little bit technical. But I think it's really the technology that behind the project attracts them a lot. So I guess that's some of the reason why they are supporting us. And in the second round, we actually had a chance to do a private pitch in CoinList Seed. which is a private network to their investors. And I guess we're still kind of doing the private round fundraising at the moment, but we cannot really disclose the name just because we haven't been disclosing it. Sorry, I mean, we haven't really finished down the kind of contract signing, all this stuff. But some of the investors that are showing a strong interest is like Bitcoin.com, Alameda, KL1, CMS, etc. So yeah, those are some of the investors who are actively supporting.
Okay. So what type of investors are you looking for? How do you want them to contribute, to your overall growth besides giving you capital?
Yes, of course. We're actually very oversubscribed. We're actually around 5x subscribed. But yeah, the reason why we haven't, I don't really want to disclose the exact names is because we haven't decided which are the investors that we really want to work with, as we want to be very strategic about a round. We don't just want to take their money. I think the reason is that we want to make sure that they will be able to help the project, accelerating project momentum. They're somewhat engaged in the project, and supporting us and resources such as I think there will be we're looking for partners who can bring in a lot of strategic values. So this is also one of the reasons why we haven't kind of start signing with the private round investor, because we're still discussing internally who will be the best kind of partners that we want to work with in the long term.
Okay. And this fundraise is you mentioned that you closed your seed round already. And what is this fundraise for then? And how much are you guys currently raising for that?
So for the seed round, we're mainly fundraising for to support the company's development, of course, and also for parachain auction, which we expect to be quite expensive, with everyone trying to also compete as parachain. And for the second round, we're looking to raise for roughly $3 million to $6 million. But again, with the kind of incoming requests, we're still trying to discuss internally in order to have a better picture of how should we do it properly and all those things.
So what's your regional roadmap now, for the upcoming quarter?
I think we are a very global project. So at the moment we're looking, all around the world. So partially in North America, Europe, Asia, specifically in China and Korea area. So we're kind of discussing with a lot of community that's belonging to the region. And I guess we're pretty much hoping to expand everywhere.
Okay, so what's the biggest challenge for you guys now, and what do you guys need help with from the global community? What are the players that you want to work with?
Well, so the players we want to work with is, I guess, most projects right now within the DeFi space that are working on infrastructure. We're already in talks with a lot of them, and we're working on integrations, for example, with Chainlink to get their price oracles, working with Polkadot and Clover specifically, and a few others as well. So, as far as challenges, I would say it is, that's what we're working on anyways, is educating the community, to work with DeFi products. I think right now we're at a point where you have to be very kind of tech savvy, generally a little bit to access some of these dApps. So that's what we're, I guess, trying to solve ourselves, and it's part of one of our main pillars at Clover.
And that's pretty much my questions for today. And thank you guys. Good to have Clover Finance here with us. Thank you to Noel, Vivian, as well as Barak. And pleasure to meet you guys. I hope I can invite you guys again for another interview, and to really see your progress over time.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us as well. It's definitely a pleasure, and hopefully we can reconnect in the future again.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the GameChangers podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you're keen to learn more, check out our other episodes. That's all for this episode. See you next time.